Go.
Good afternoon. My name is John Burnett. I'm the founder and president of Star Diamond Tools, and I want to talk to you today about the CPM 8 Scarifier and the consumables that go on it. What we have is that we've got a drum that has 6 shafts on it, and on these shafts are various carbide flails and spacers. Now they've got to be set up properly so that you can basically use the product. So there's a way to set this up, so you can go online and you can get that information, or else we can send that information to you. So basically what you've got is that these carbides here are protecting that arm, and these carbides here are protecting that arm. That's why you have this general purpose pattern that's established. One thing that you want to make sure of is that on the CPM 8, when you're scarifying, you only want to go down 1/8 of an inch at a time. If you go any deeper than that, it will result in ruining the drum and scarring the drum out. So you could see how basically when you go down too deep, the whole machine is resting on this drum, on these edges. So when you look at it, that's really the depth that these flails will go on. So essentially just clearing this this rim here, this edge. So if you go down more than that, obviously the carbides or the machine actually will rest on the drum here and ruin the drum. So when you're scarifying, only go down 1/8 of an inch at a time. Now, through the life of the carbides, these carbides will last 10 to 15,000 square feet in normal concrete at 1/8 of an inch depth. Now, what I suggest is that every time the machine is coming in, either off rent or coming back into the garage or maintenance or being put away, that after each job, or each day actually, what you should do is that you should look between the carbides here so that you can actually see the shaft. So you could see the shaft is shiny. That means that the wear resistance heat treatment that's on the shafts, which is about a 1/64 of an inch in depth, is now worn off. So now these shafts will wear very, very quickly. So what you want to do is after each job or at the end of each day, what you should do is check for the shaft to see if it's shiny. If it's shiny, it has to be replaced because it will start wearing very, very quickly with all the dirt and the dust that you come in contact with. So in order to replace the shafts, all you have to do is take off this retainer ring on each side. Take that off, it's 3 bolts, take those off, and then get a new shaft and just string it along like a string of pearls and just push the shaft through. It'll push the old shaft out, the worn shaft out, and it'll be a new shaft in. So you do that on all of these, and then you put your retainer rings on. Now, the shafts, you will have to replace the shafts 2, maybe 3 times during the life of the carbides. How can you tell the life of the carbides and what's left on it? Each carbide has a little tip on it. In this case, it's a little carbide tip that's actually silver soldered into that tool piece. So this case here was a case of running the machine too deep and dragging the carbides in, and what we've done here is that we flattened the carbides on the machine here, so it's kind of really reduced the life of the product. Now, how do you prevent this from happening? You can tell guys how to do it, but basically you may have some new operators on. So what the suggestion is, whether you're a contractor or a rental company, is that you take a permanent marker and you mark it 3 or 4 times on this ridge, okay, on the side here. And what you have to do is that you have to tell your employees or your rental person that comes in and rents it, that if this is worn off, this mark is worn off, they are buying a drum. The drum is worth about $800. The reason for that being is that if this wears off, that means the machine was too deep and they were running it on the rim here. And that, of course, drags the carbides, ruins the carbides, and actually can ruin the drum as well, as it happened in this case. So to reduce that, make sure that you have your marks on the drum, and make sure that you tell the operator that if this is here, he's just going too deep. So you will know if you get this back from rent and these marks are off here, is that now you have to start inspecting the full drum, because possibly the drum has been ruined. And at the end of each day, like I had mentioned before, always make sure and check for those shafts and if they're shiny. So you can see here that, I hope you can, that the shaft is shiny. And that being the case, it's now time to replace the shafts. If you have any other questions concerning the use of the CPM8 and particularly the carbides and the drums, please give us a call at Star Diamond Tools, 1-800-282-6470. Thank you so much for your time today.